You can stand for the pledge, please. Ready? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Duff.
Here.
Ingram.
Here.
Laybourne.
President will bring the computer.
Minnelletti.
Here.
Moretto.
Here.
Singlewood.
Here.
Durango. Here. Tupper.
Here.
Well, Ed, he made it.
Pardon?
This is Mitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She's 7.
Okay,
Okay.
have fun tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Take care.
Correspondence, I don't have anything except the things that go to the cases. ZBA approval of minutes for April of 21.
Motion.
Second. Roll call. Anybody have anything on the minutes? Roll call.
Ingram.
Yes.
Laybourne.
Yes.
Minnelletti.
Yes.
Moretto.
Yes.
Durango.
Yes.
Tupper.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Okay. We are now going to move to presentation of the cases. We are going to, in a second, open up ZBA case 21-708. Stephen Getz, location of the property 764 Laguna, Wolverine Lake, Michigan. Basis for the appeal 1250.06 subsection A, setback from the property lines. R1-A, zoning requires a 25-foot front yard setback. Applicant proposes a 20.75-foot setback to construct a covered porch. Is Mr. Getz in the...
Right there.
Okay. I'll have a motion to open up
Motion.
ZBA case. Second. Roll call.
Laybourne.
Yes.
Minnelletti.
Yes.
Moretto.
Yes.
Durango.
Yes.
Tupper.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Ingram.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Getz, what we'd like you to do is come to the podium and tell us your name, the address of your property, and be as detailed as you can on what you're proposing, please.
Stephen Getz, 764 Laguna Drive, Wolverine Lake, Michigan, 48390. I'm proposing to build an overhang over top of my porch so that the rain will disperse over top of it, and we can put, furniture out there and hang out and not get rained on. And it's already coming out a certain point, and it does look odd the way it is, and I just want to bring it the rest of the way to finish it over top of the porch.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
It's not in any kind of way that you can see for like any, the cars coming up to it. It doesn't seem to be blocking anything. It's not in the way of anything. There's no power lines or anything around it. I don't see any issues with it whatsoever.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay.
I see your wife is here with you. Would she like to say anything? No, you're good? Okay. All right, I am
I
going,
do have
Yes,
two
sir.
letters from two neighbors. I'm sorry.
I believe I have those as well. Are those
You do?
from Natalia Arbogast?
I
David
don't know
Arbogast?
them, but I believe they live next to the easement.
Are those the same letters that I have?
I think so.
That you have?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I've got those.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'm going to open up to the public. First part of this would be if anybody would like to speak on behalf of allowing this to happen within our village. So I'll open up to the public. If you'd like, please raise your hand. I see no one. Would anybody like to speak against? Please raise your hand. I see no one. I'll close the public, open to the board. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Getz?
Are you planning to enclose the porch or screen it in, or what's the plan for that?
Not at this time. Right now, I'd just like to keep it open. Maybe down the line, maybe. But that's not in the works right now. What I just want to do is just get the rain off of it and get the 3 pillars put up, and basically maybe put in some gates in between the pillars. We were looking at some ones that are going to be like cast iron and deer. That look pretty good. And then maybe even build a new cooker over to the side of it, away from it, the cement to the side of it. But other than that,
Tim, if he was to enclose this, there would be another variance that he would have to go for, correct?
If you said, it all depends on your motion.
If we
you say to-
stipulate it in the motion?
My motion is
Yeah.
to approve something, or approve or disapprove what we
No,
have.
but we
here.
can conditional, we did that before.
Not to enclose, you've done that lots of
Right,
times. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, is we
You
have.
have to come back.
Can we put it in there just in case we're down the line, so I wouldn't have to come back?
Well, let's kind of see how that plays out, just for a second. Mitch, you got any questions? No? Kathy? No? Bonnie? No? Kyle?
Nope.
All right. Well, there are two letters that I'm going to read in, I believe that, to this case. Both of them are from 785 Laguna Drive. I think they're the same letter. Nope, they are not the same letter, so I'm going to read them both. CBA case 21-708, Honorable Zoning Board of Appeals. I've been a resident of this village since December of 2006 and a homeowner since May of 2013. Since this time, my family has resided at 785 Laguna Drive. We are not friends with the appellate. Is that how you say our last name? Oh, I'm sorry, wait a minute.
Applicant. Yeah.
Oh, they don't know how to spell. Okay. I'm thinking, that's not your last name. Not friends with the Hold on.
Appealant or something like that.
Appellate?
Pellet, yeah.
Yeah, that's not how you spell it. At 765 Laguna Drive, we have noticed that various capital improvements this family has invested with blood, sweat, tears, and dollars into their home. At issue is their desire to have an enclosed porch 4 feet 3 inches closer to the road than the village code allows. As my husband, David Arbogast, is the current member of the United States Civil Air Patrol, United States Air Force Auxiliary, first responder, we are predisposed to this weekly meeting, Tuesday, 1900 to 2100 hours. Otherwise, we would be in person to, I think this word is strongly support, I forgot the T, support the appellate's appear to this Honorable Zoning Appeals Board. Just reading what is here. If granted, this exception would lead to an improvement in the appearance of Laguna Drive and an increased value of our home. And that is Natalia Arbogast at 785 Laguna Drive. And then her husband, David, also resides, basically the same thing. Actually, it's the same letter. They're both just signed by each of them. So we'll put these into the record, that they are for this.
I do have one question.
You can ask as many as you like.
Mr. Yates, one of the objectives of the board is to understand what your hardship is that drives you to ask for a variance. You know, why can't you comply with the ordinance of the village? So I guess my question to you is, I understand you want the covered front porch, but you know, you have a lot of yard space. What's the necessity for this particular space versus making the space elsewhere?
I have nowhere else to make it. I have basically no backyard, I have no side yard, and nowhere else to build anything that the family can hang out outside, so.
Do you even have other doors on the outside of your house?
I just got the one in the garage and the one that goes on Hermosa. That comes
Right, because
out
there's nothing on the
front.
sides that I saw. There's anything in the back?
Nope.
Yeah, so you really don't have another door to get to the outside,
Right,
except for your front door.
Okay,
and my garage. I got a garage.
Your garage is already covered, though.
Goes right.
thank you, I appreciate the
Does that
answer.
make better
Yes,
sense?
yes.
Okay, yeah. Gentlemen, anything?
Nope.
All right, so we're going to go through our checklist. Or agree or disagree that the special or unique conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved and which are not generally applicable to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same district. Kathy?
I agree with that.
Okay. Sir?
Disagree.
I agree based on the information we just got of the one outside door.
Gents? Kyle?
Agree, same reason.
Yep,
Mitch, good?
agree, same reason, yep.
I will also agree with that. Aaron?
I agree.
Okay, so we have a 6-1 vote there. What is our reason for agreeing? Because that's the only door in the house?
exterior.
Right.
And his porch is already established?
Right.
And it's a corner lot.
Excuse me while I write this down. Okay, number 2, the literal interpretation of the provision of the zoning ordinance would deprive this applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the same zoning terms, and that are variances the minimum necessary. Kathy?
I agree.
Sir?
Disagree.
Fine.
I disagree on that one.
Guys?
I agree for the same reasonings as the first question.
Mitch?
I'm gonna agree.
I will also agree. And can we use the same, forgot Aaron.
Yep.
One
Yeah,
door.
That's exactly why.
Forgot Aaron. Aaron, I'm sorry.
That's all right, I agree as well.
Thank you. Just kidding. Wow, it's really dark out there.
Yeah. we've got really
Just what we
dark.
need, more rain. Agree or disagree, the special condition and circumstances do not result from the action of the applicant, they are not self-created. Kathy?
I agree with that based on the previous factors.
Disagree.
Sir? Okay.
I agree.
Guys?
Agree?
I disagree because they don't have to put a roof on it.
Okay. Yeah, I will disagree based on that same amount. So that's 3-3. Aaron?
I disagree as well.
That's right, I disagree with number 2.
So I'll put applicant preference on that one. Okay, agree or disagree, excuse me, the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of this ordinance. Kathy?
I agree.
Sir?
I'll agree with that one.
Okay.
I agree.
Guys?
Agree.
Agree?
Aaron?
Agree.
I will agree as well. So we're at 7-0. Are we going to use the same argument as questions 1 and 2? Or are we coming up with something different? Porch is already established.
This porch is already established. It doesn't interfere with visual obstructions or anything like that.
We have neighborhood
Sign
support.
light.
Neighborhood support.
Sign-
Yeah.
yep. Neighborhood support.
Okay, agree or disagree, the variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the general welfare. Does anyone disagree with that?
No.
Aaron?
I do not disagree.
Okay.
So what do we have for that?
Go on. Agree or disagree, the spirit of this ordinance shall be observed, public safety secured, and substantial justice done. Does anybody disagree?
No.
Okay. This time, anybody have any questions on this?
Motion.
Discussion?
Motion to approve ZBA case 21-708 based upon 1, 2, 3,
Don't use 3.
1, 2, 4, 5, 6.
I'll second that. Any discussion on the motion? Now-
Conditional that it can't be closed in.
That's something we can talk about. What are your thoughts, Kathy, about him closing it or not
I
closing
would
it?
say no hard wall, because that's what would make more of an obstruction if it's a solid wall versus a screened
More
in.
open? Okay. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, no enclosure.
Well, that's not what they're asking for. So,
Right.
I know, but we can
But I mean,
conditionally give them the
but
variance.
any.
No, but that's what I'm
any-
saying,
Yeah.
that's what I mean, is that's what they're asking for,
Any
is this. So
any
why are
further
we-
change,
Any
any
further
further
change
change would
needs-
require
needs to
another
come back.
variance,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I think any further change, they just
Right.
come back and, yeah, I'm not saying they will get it or won't get it, but they're asking for this, they're not asking for it to be enclosed today. So why, I think we should just approve what they're asking for, or not approve what they're asking for.
Approved as
Any-
is with no other
Approved
changes.
as
Correct.
another
Yeah.
change,
Does everybody agree with that?
Sure.
Okay. All right, I'll second that. Do we need to do a roll call on that second, on that
Well,
little
I mean, your
friendly?
motion right now is just to approve as presented on the agenda. It didn't include the condition in the motion that was seconded. Are you adding that condition?
We're gonna add it as a friendly?
If you want to add a condition, then you could add it as a friendly.
Okay, so we're gonna add that as a friendly, does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so I think we're good, roll call.
Maletti?
Yes.
Moretto?
Yes.
Torongo?
Yes?
Tupper?
yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Ingram?
Yes.
Claiborne?
Yes.
Okay, you're good? you're approved for what you asked for. If you do want to enclose it down the road, you're just going to have to come back and, go through plans and everything, because you don't have any plans here, so we can't approve something we don't know anything about. So, good luck. Give the city a day or two, and then they'll have your permits probably ready for you, and go see the girls up front, or up top, I should say.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great day. Be careful of the storm.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Give me a second to... A lot of people here for this last case. It's going to get feisty. You like that in a Tuesday. All right. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to open up ZBA case 21-709 here in a second. Location of the property, 340 Angola, Wolverine Lake, Michigan, 48390. Basis for the appeal, 1280.04. Accessory structure that exceeds 18 inches in height must be set back 20 feet from the water's edge. Applicant proposes to install a gazebo on the lakefront deck and lacks 20-foot setback. Can I have a motion to open this case?
Motion.
Second, roll call.
Morano.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
Kathy, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Morongo.
Yes?
Tupper.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Ingram.
Yes.
Claiborne.
Yes.
Mileti.
Yes. All right, Dennis. Dennis, can you pronounce your last name for me?
Tabasco.
Thank you. You are here. So please tell us who you are, where you live, and what you want to do.
My name's Dennis Tabasca, live at 340 Angola, Wolverine Lake, Michigan. I'm here to get a variance for a 10 by 12 gazebo that I installed assembled on our deck, our waterfront deck. Last year, since we were here since 1972, we had a big willow tree that was about 6 or 7 big trunks, and it was overlooking the lake. We put our dock in front of it, and we put a deck in front of it for shade. So we were sitting there, we were going there, our kids would swim there, we'd fish down there, we were able to enjoy the lake. Well, last July, 3 of the 5 last trunks, they were rotted and they came down. So I had to, therefore assessing that I had to remove them. So which left us no shade. During the summer, we went around the lake, my wife and I, and we were looking at all the structures that were on the lake, seeing different gazebos and pergolas and everything. So in the spring of this year, we purchased a 10 by 12 gazebo that we were going to have assembled on our deck. We had it about 3/4 of the way or 8/10 of the way installed, and I got a rap on the door, and it was a code enforcement officer saying that I was in violation of code 1280.04/6, I guess it's subset 6, that I didn't have any structure that's over 18 inches high has to have and it's within 20 feet, or he said 35 feet of the lake, had to have a permit. So therefore, I applied for the permit, and nevertheless, it was denied. So I came, they said my next option is a variance. So then I provided all the information to obtain the variance. And what I found out then is actually that I only had to have, I didn't even have it, but it was 20 feet away, and any structure that's 18 inches tall. So therefore, that's what we're here for, asking for a variance, since our gazebo that is already installed on the waterfront, we have the variance approved. So.
Okay. Very good. Is there anybody else with you that's family that wants to speak? Wife?
No.
Okay. No, wife didn't come today? No, it's okay.
No, my grandkids come over all the time.
Oh, hold on. We're not there yet. I'll get you there, though. All right, so now I'm going to open to the public. Ma'am, if you could stand up and come to the podium, state your name and your address, and tell us what you'd like. We'll go one at a time. Take your time.
My name is Pamela Tabasca, and I live at 340 Angola, Wolverine Lake, Michigan. And
Oh, you're his wife.
I'm his
Oh, I would have let you speak.
I was going to say, our grandkids come over, we got little grandkids come over, and that really provided a lot of shade, the tree did. My heart broke when that tree came down, because it was just memories, of our kids growing up. And when that tree came down, we had no shade whatsoever. There was no way we could have gone and sat there with the kids, or for the kids even to be out there, because it was just, they would get sunburned too much. So like he said, we went around the lake, and I said, well, you know, a gazebo looks nice. And we never thought that we needed a building permit, because we bought the gazebo in pieces, you know, a kit, and had somebody come and assemble it for us.
Sure.
So that's why we did that.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Who else? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Tony Brischke from 276 Angola. I live a few doors down from Dennis and Pam, and I can see their structure, especially from my third floor deck. And I think it is a very nice looking gazebo. And I just want to reiterate what they're saying, because we have a young kid who's 2.5 years old, and he really likes to go and play. They got a really nice beach down there, and without having some kind of shade, you can't watch the kid playing in the. So, kind of piggybacking what Pam said, it's really nice to have that. But on top of that, I will say they also planted a brand new tree.
I see that, yeah.
Which is it's really nice, but I mean it's going to take a long time
It's going to take a
grow
while.
up. And unfortunately, I mean it's really nice they did that, because if you look at our shoreline, if you just look across the axis here, you can see there's like no trees left. So it looks really bad. So, but anyway, they're trying to do the right thing. It looks really nice. It's got a nice metal roof on it. I also know, speaking of the tree that fell, they had invested big money, like they cabled it, and they're trying to keep it to stay up, and it didn't work. So it's unfortunate, but I hope you guys approve it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Who's next?
My name is Tom Kesnicki, 334 Angola, and I'm a neighbor of Dennis's. And as far as I'm concerned, the gazebo adds to the beautification of the shoreline. No problem. It doesn't obstruct any sight going down the lake. It just, it looks nice.
Okay.
And I thought it was quite an improvement on it. I have absolutely no complaints about it at all.
Thank you, sir.
I think they did a good job.
Thank you, sir. Who's next? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Well, my name's Dennis Teed. I live at 346 Angola.
Yes.
I am Dennis's neighbor, and I think that gazebo looks awesome.
Okay.
It doesn't restrict anything, and I can't see any reason why you wouldn't approve it. I hope you do.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else like to speak on behalf of this? Anybody in the audience would like to speak against this?
Not really against, it's common, so.
We'll
My
accept your
name's Rich
comment.
Morris, 326 Angola, and I guess I've got more of a process question.
I'll try to answer.
So, my wife and I went several years ago, they had these same gazebos at Costco, and we looked at them. And before I bought it, I actually called the village and got a really helpful lady who explained to me the ordinances. And I said, that doesn't sound like it's gonna work. So I didn't bother to even try to do it. So I guess what I want to know is if my neighbor gets this approved tonight, then that means I can do this next month, right?
Well, everything that we approve goes towards that individual applicant in that individual house. I'm not saying you can do it, I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying you're going to apply for a permit, which you're going to go through the same process he's going through, which is eventually get yourself to this process. Does that make sense?
Not really.
Yeah, it's government, so I understand. But
That's
that is the process where you're going to apply for a permit Tim is going to review your plans. What you want to do does not fit the ordinance that we currently have in our books. So Tim, by law, has to deny you. Your next step is to come to the Zoning Board of Appeals to ask for a variance. It may not make a ton of sense to the general public, but that's the way things are set up through local government. If something is not approvable, you have to go in front of a board to hopefully get it approved. Now, if he gets approved, it sets a basis a little bit, but it doesn't necessarily mean the next person automatically gets approved, because every case sits on its own merit. Does that make sense?
No, not really, to be honest with you. Again, to me, this is pretty obvious. So to me, it's
I
setting a
may or may not
precedent.
disagree with you, I'm just telling you what the process is.
and again, it's a process question. So to me, if we approve this, which is great, then it's a precedent, and that means I can get one, and all the rest of my neighbors can get one.
Well, we're not setting a precedent. What we're doing is approving one case for one applicant.
Or denying a case.
Excuse me?
Or denying it.
Or denying a case, yes. It doesn't mean he's getting it or not getting it at this point.
No,
Whatever we're doing is we're doing for him as an individual, for his individual address. It doesn't necessarily be a broad scope for the entire village.
Us approving a variance does not change the ordinance.
Yeah.
The ordinance remains in place.
Yeah, the ordinance is in place. The
Right.
only people that can change the ordinance is going through council, going through planning. They're the ones that change the rules. Basically, you want to break a rule, and we're the ones that basically will see if the rules could be broken based on what you're asking for. For example, you may want something completely different than he does in regards to, well, I'm not on the water, I'm 10 feet back. No, there's a lot of different variables. If whatever happens to him, if you have a similar case, well, I can't tell you that it's going to be the same, but we look at everything individually, and we try to make the best decision based on what you're asking us to do. But it's not a blanket statement if something is approved and or denied, because we've approved things and other people have asked for a similar thing, but it's a little bit of a different circumstance and they were denied, and then vice versa. Does that help you?
Do you want me to add to that?
Sure, please.
I would just say that could lead to some really bad feelings.
Well, unfortunately, we're the board that we understand that, so.
Just want to be transparent about that.
Okay,
'cause
and I
again,
appreciate that.
The process, to me, is very flawed.
So let me just try and explain something a little differently. Under the Michigan statutes, these are called variances, and variances have to have certain findings. So when you heard the board earlier going through the 6 different, where they were agreeing or not agreeing, those 6 different elements, those 6 different elements apply to every single case. Everyone's unique circumstances and fact pattern gets applied to those questions. If you are exactly the same as the applicant before you and they answered agreed to all of those, then how could they not answer agreed to all of them if you're the exact same set of circumstances? But if something is different and they're going through those 6 elements, it could change the outcome. So each one of those 6 issues needs to be addressed. And that's why variances, like the chair was saying, are particular to each property. They don't set a precedent. Just from granting a variance doesn't set a precedent. It stands on its own.
Okay, well, like I said, our neighbor, when we got the notice for this, we were talking with our neighbor, and she mentioned how she has several neighbors on the lake that have seen Dennis's structure and said, hey, that's great, I want one.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I know multiple people, including myself, that wanted one of these. If we come back and we do this process and we don't get it, it's going to be some really pissed off people.
Understood.
And isn't that kind of an opportunity to bring that issue to the planning commission for them to review the
Yeah,
ordinance?
definitely. If you're having enough issues with the same, if you're getting enough applicants that kind of have the same fact patterns, and you're needing to find variances more and more because you're seeing that happen enough, then you would send that to the planning commission.
And one of the things that obviously, we look at is what is best for the village and what is the expectation going into 2021. There are a lot of things that people do differently today than they did 5, 10, 15 years ago. Look at last year, for example. So that being said, some of our things that we have on our books in regards to our ordinances, to me, are slightly still a little antiquated.
Mm-hmm.
More people are wanting to do outdoor space,
Right.
Outdoor kitchens. There's a lot of things that, for example, I sit in other meetings for other cities that I hear people are looking for that if it was in our village, it becomes a problem. So I do think that, something like this, because obviously this gentleman provided a tremendous amount of pictures here of other things that are on this lake. Now, when they were there, I can't answer the question, but, there are I think planning really needs to maybe sit down with zoning a little bit and say, okay, what are the things you're hearing from the residents? And, okay, can we do something in regards to planning and say, okay, can those make changes? Now, unfortunately for the residents, that does not happen overnight. there's a process there. But, there definitely needs, I think there needs to be some things put together, probably a little bit different than what we have now. Yes, sir.
This is a brand-new revision to allow these on the lakefront.
Yeah, this was in 2018.
This isn't an antiquated ordinance, this is a brand-new ordinance
Yeah.
allowing these structures on the lake. Previously, they weren't allowed at all,
Right.
Then why are we here?
because it's not 20 feet.
They added the 20 feet setback to allow them.
Okay.
But I guess one of the important things to remember is that in those six elements of finding a variance, one of them is not how many other people have received this variance.
Correct.
It is irrelevant.
Correct, absolutely. And I'm just talking if planning and zoning would get together
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
if they invited us to one of their meetings to say, hey, guys, what is it that you're seeing that's a potential issue?
That's a really
And is
good
it
point.
something that we could work together and make changes? Because planning doesn't hear from the general public, we do. And we do hear a lot of things that I sit here and kind of scratch my head about, this one in particular, of, okay, why would you approve something 20 feet away from a lake? That makes no sense to me. I don't know how that even got approved through planning. I'm not knocking planning, but to me, sitting here as just a resident, that makes 0 sense. So obviously for at least 4 people, it made some sense because it got approved.
I'm sure it has
Or
a
it
view
was there
obstruction.
before.
According to Tim, it was something completely new.
It wasn't allowed.
But before it was nothing, now it's, you can have something but 20 feet away.
If it's taller than
18.
18 inches.
It's taller than 18 inches. If you drive around the lake, there is more actually that I saw today than what was provided here.
Oh, there's a lot more.
So, and
there's a lot more people that would want.
you know what, maybe that's what's happening in 2021, that we have to look at that stuff and say, wait a minute, we need to be up with the times. We can't be an antiquated village, because it's
Right.
only hurting the value of what we're trying to do to raise, I hate to say it, raise taxes, raise revenue, raise property values. These folks want to do improvements to their property. And to me, I think whoever passed this being 20 feet away, I just think they didn't think this all the way through. So again, that's just my soapbox scenario. So let's just get
But
moving.
that's what it is today.
That's what it is today. It is what it is. And we didn't approve it or deny it. So obviously, you guys have seen all the pictures. I think everyone's reviewed it. I mean, there's quite a few other things that are on the lake that I'm not sure why these folks aren't sitting in front of us as well, because to me, these particular pictures are definitely much more than what this gentleman is asking for. But
Does that fall under the compliance officer, Tim?
If he's got a boat.
well, he didn't have a boat for this one.
No, it's right.
Not sure, unless he was swimming out there.
I don't know who called, so he took.
Someone called on this one for the ordinance officer.
Well, I'm calling the ordinance officer now on this list of people here, because if something's not approvable for these folks, why is it approvable for these pictures? Doesn't matter that it's been sitting there for a long time, it's not, it was no before. These aren't 50 years old.
Yes, no before.
It was no before, now it's 20 feet from the water. Well, I don't have my measuring stick with me, but these pictures don't look like they're 20 feet from the water, and these don't look like they're very old. But they're not sitting in this audience behind this gentleman waiting for an approval, correct?
Correct. You had one of these 2 years ago.
Remind me. I'm getting old, my mind's going.
On Oakview,
Yes,
attached to the deck.
yep, was approved. No,
It's
it was denied because the ordinance wasn't in place, I believe, at that time,
That's correct. There was no structures on the water.
even though other
And
structures
this-
are on them.
And this kind of spurred some of that on.
Okay.
I have a question on the statement that it's a
Bless you.
portable gazebo. Is it intended to be portable, or is that just the name
Portable to
of
me is you
the
pick up
style?
and move.
But
This
it's
is bolted,
going to
this is
be-
bolted
It's got to
down.
be bolted down.
Because this thing would be a sail. I mean, it would just go if it wasn't bolted
That's
down.
what I was
However,
thinking, but.
The new ordinance, though, the revision says that portable structures now fall under the same guidelines as the
Yes.
permanent structures, so it
Because
doesn't
some
matter.
folks would like to take it down in the wintertime to preserve its longevity and this type of
So the setbacks are the same.
yeah, so it's irrelevant if this was more, if it was portable. Okay, so does anybody else have anything to say on this? If not, we're going to go through our questions.
I do. I was curious, that one of the things, if I have the latest version, says that the limit is 100 square feet, and I believe this is 10 by 12, so I think it's too big. It doesn't have the variance for size, but.
Well, we have to,
Yeah, we just gotta go off.
we're going off of what we have.
I understand.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay. Just like, for example, one of the things I hear in the past, people talk about the construction process of what somebody wants to do. That's not our job. That's his job. Our job is to approve or deny what is in front of us, based on those specs. How they build it is irrelevant to us. Okay, so we're gonna go through our checklist, agree or disagree, but that's a very good question, thank you. Agree or disagree that special or unique conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved, and which are not generally applicable to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same district. Kathy?
I disagree with that one.
Disagree.
Does anybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Because all lakefront owners have lakefront.
Yes.
Oh, Aaron, sorry. You know, you're just like,
I disagree as well. I'm agreeing to disagree.
thank you for chirping up. I promise the next meeting I won't forget you.
All right.
But if I do, just yell. Agree or disagree that a literal interpretation of the provision of the zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of the rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the same zoning terms, and that a variance is minimally necessary. Kathy?
I would think because it's stated under the same zoning terms, I would disagree with that.
I'd also disagree with that.
Disagree.
I'm gonna agree due to the photographic evidence on here.
Mitch?
Disagree?
Aaron?
Agree.
I will also agree with that, due to the photographic evidence. The four that voted no, can I get a reason, please?
Like I said, it's stated commonly enjoyed by,
Yes.
commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the same zoning terms. And while I think that there are a few homes that
There are a few,
have it,
there's not more
it's
than,
not
it's not more than,
30%,
yeah, it's not 50%, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Right,
So using existing zoning laws?
Yes.
right.
Okay. Agree or disagree, the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant, and they are not self-created. Kathy?
I disagree with that.
Disagree.
Does anybody agree? Aaron?
Disagree.
For obvious reasons, they're proposing to put something up in an area that does not allow this?
Well, they already put it up.
Thank you. The granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of this ordinance. Kathy? I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
I haven't decided, so
Okay, I'm going to skip you.
I
I'll come back.
agree with that.
You agree with that?
I'll disagree with that one.
I disagree.
Gents?
I agree. Disagree?
Aaron?
Disagree.
I will agree with that. So for folks who disagreed, why?
Because it's, again, they put it up already. Not to mention it goes against what the ordinance is.
I mean, out of curiosity on that, just because I've heard it before from other board members too, what does the fact that it's already erected have to do with
Because
the ordinance?
they violated the ordinance already. They got
Right.
caught. They're coming in front of us because they got
But
caught.
that's not our job to kind of decipher or punish them because they already had it up. They're
Well-
asking for a variance based off of
But
the
it
ordinance.
also
But it
doesn't give
is.
them an advantage.
But it is. That is
Oh.
what our role is.
Part of our role is to punish residents?
No, part of our role is to understand that they broke the variance already. They're asking for permission to keep the breaking of the variance.
No, and I understand what you're saying, but there's circumstances in place where, you know, a normal person in the neighborhood would drive around the lake, see the exact same structures up, not know that they need a permit for it, and erect it by mistake.
Well, this gentleman over here kind of proves that wrong.
Well, not everybody does that.
Well, they should. I mean, that's the correct way of doing something. If you're going to take and erect something, you should call and find out if you need a permit for it.
No, and I agree, but not everybody does. And it's not our job to say they maliciously didn't call. We have to take the ordinance that comes in front of us and agree or disagree based off of the special circumstances, in my opinion, not because it's already erected.
Not how it happened.
Right, not how it happened.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, and I do think, and I don't disagree with you, but that being said, I don't think these folks maliciously
No,
put
I
something
don't
on.
either.
I don't see that. I think the fact is they didn't know, they didn't realize it, and based on driving around the lake,
Yeah, it's just you've said it a few times throughout this
it
process.
just
it's
looks
already
like,
built,
well,
so
I got
it's not-
17 other houses that have it, and what's the problem?
Right.
I mean, there's a pizza oven probably not too far down actually from their house that
Right.
is still sitting there, and I have no idea, and I actually know the folks, I have no idea how that's been there for 3 years. But these folks get called on. To me, it just seems a little capricious. We're picking and choosing, because somebody happens to call on somebody, and now they're sitting in front of it. I think the code enforcement officer needs to do a better job.
I would agree with that.
If he needs to get on a boat, I believe we have a boat. Have an officer take him around, and guess what? Make some notes. He's getting paid to be a zoning officer and a code enforcement officer for this village. Don't use the fact that I can't see it because it's in the front. I don't know, my deck got called down when my guy was just putting a new tap on it. He wasn't in my lake, it was a neighbor. So that being said, I think this guy needs to get on a boat. He needs to drive around this lake a few times, even if he has to take Tim. Tim likes boats.
Yeah.
And just take him around and just say, what is it that's in these neighbors' yards? There's a guy that has a fence running all the way down around, and this is a newer fence, around the lakeside.
Saw that.
How is this guy not sitting here in front of us when these poor folks are over this? But hey, that's okay because he can't see it. Here's my suggestion, get on a boat, we own one.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'll proceed. So the 4 is because it was already built, correct? Okay. I apologize for my soliloquy there. The variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the general welfare. Does anybody disagree with it?
I agree.
Aaron, do we agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Agree or disagree, the spirit of the ordinance shall be observed, public safety secured, and substantial justice done. Does anybody disagree?
I disagree. It's not the spirit of the ordinance.
No,
Yeah, I disagree
I would
too.
disagree with it then.
Okay, Kathy?
I agree.
You disagree?
Yeah.
Disagree?
I disagree.
Agree.
Mitch?
Disagree?
Aaron?
Agreed.
I also agree. And we agreed because there's already existing structures on the lake?
Well, there's neighborhood support.
And neighborhood
support.
Like it,
support.
they think
And
it's
it's-
nice looking, so.
And one of the things I think we have taken into account a lot on this board with a bunch of different members is neighborhood reaction, positively and negatively. Because I've heard that actually on this board.
Right.
So, we have quite a few folks out here that are for this. So again, this, reminding everybody. 1, 6.
And especially if you consider the one dissenter is not really a dissenter, he was more of a questioner of, can I do it
Process.
too?
Right.
Hold on, give me a second.
It's really
5 and 6. So,
Make a motion that we approve ZBA case 21-709 based off of 5 and 6.
I'll second that motion. Do you have discussion on the motion? Well, I will say something, and I'll make it brief. I think this needs to be looked at by planning immediately.
I'll
Like
take it back.
the next meeting.
Right. We
Regardless
have
of
one
the
this month.
outcome for these folks,
Right.
this needs to be fixed,
Right.
one way or the other.
Yeah, we've had quite a few people that have expressed a desire to do this, that have come to the zoning board for an appeal, so I think that this is like the fence issue that was resolved and changed. I think we need to look
Well,
at
not
this
for
as
everybody.
well. Right.
Yeah, so we'll deal with that after the meeting, new business. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second, any discussion on the motion?
No.
A roll call, please.
Karango?
No.
Tupper?
No.
Duff?
No.
And Ingram,
Yes.
Layborn,
No.
Minoletti,
Yes.
Moretto.
Yes.
So unfortunately, this did not pass from a 3 to 4 margin, so I apologize. If you have any questions, you can contact the village administrator and the girls upstairs. Okay?
No, what next, the next steps?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the next steps, yeah. The next, yeah, talk to them.
See
and
how
then-
we can get everyone's gazebos and the sheds and fences torn down.
I live on 1641 Del Monte. Come knock on my door, I'll be one happy to help you.
I thank you for all your.
You're welcome, guys.
How long do we have before we need to take this?
You have to talk to the village. Those questions I don't have for you, ma'am, I'm sorry. I don't have the answers to those questions. Okay. Thank you all. All right, new business. I think we just kind of went over it. We didn't look at this, and I can sense the frustration of our public, and I think they have the right to be frustrated.
I fully agree in terms of the frustration. I just don't think that
I mean, some of this stuff is egregious in regards to what's on the lake. And I don't have an issue with any of this stuff and/or what he proposed, obviously, because I voted for him. But that being said, this gentleman can't be told no tonight, and these other folks are sitting on there having a beer tonight.
Right.
Of their stuff.
Right.
That's
I
not
agree with
right.
That's not right. I agree.
We're closed. I apologize. All right. Anything else anybody want to talk about? I think I have something here. Hold on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be rude, but there's just procedures. No, I didn't. Okay. No, you're fine. You're fine.
That's your stuff from the.
Oh, okay, no.
too.
This is my stuff.
I got one too.
Yeah, I got one too.
Okay, anything from council?
Yes, let's see, we approved the agreement between the police union. We agreed on the DPW contract.
Nice.
And we also accepted or put forth an offer to a new treasurer, and she accepted. So she will be starting, I have not actually heard the start date. She turned her resignation in and did not give us a date specifically.
Oh, not to us. I was going to say.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mark, did you hear you
Yeah.
turned your resignation?
Thought it was someone else.
No, she's resigning from somewhere
Yeah,
else.
she was working for another organization and had to turn in her resignation. Didn't know what the time frame was, but didn't think it was going to be more than 3 weeks.
Who are we talking about?
The new treasurer.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
Mike Condit is retired.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I believe we hired a previous treasurer, but unfortunately there was a lot that happened.
I remember.
Can you say that?
Yeah.
She,
She
I think she
passed
passed away
Yeah.
shortly after accepting the
She did,
position.
yeah, before she took
12
office.
hours.
Yeah.
Oh, my
So,
God.
unfortunate circumstances.
Yes.
For that, anything else? Tim, do we have anything for August?
Probably,
Anything riveting? Probably?
yeah.
Okay.
And then, when we did the changes to this ordinance, it changed the setbacks for accessory structures to 20 feet. So every accessory structure now is 20 foot.
Instead
So if you
of,
put it 5 feet if you build a shed in your yard.
but you can't do we can't do a shed in your backyard in a lakefront anyways.
No, any yard.
Oh, any yard now.
So it.
So you're saying we need to change the ordinance anyway?
Yeah.
And all it got changed, it changed the regular setbacks for sheds to 20 feet. So it's going back for revision again.
Seriously, does anyone read what they vote for?
But
Is Sally working on that?
it's going to planning
Oh, okay.
this month.
Good.
But I've got people that I held up.
For sheds?
Want to put a shed in at 5 feet, then I'm saying you can't because it's 20 feet. But they're going to change it back.
Kathy, were you aware of this?
No.
Does this go through, who decided this?
So can I say yes to those?
Did she verify that that just wasn't an error in the codification, that they actually wanted 20 feet for all
It just,
setbacks?
yeah. it's-
Well, they made a broad
it didn't-
statement, and now it
Whatever got
gets
changed,
everything.
they didn't, when I was going through the ordinance, they didn't go through it like I went through it, but they agree like we agree.
Yeah.
That the setback's now 20 feet.
Right.
Oh, we gotta change that back. So they already made the revisions.
Right.
They're in the packet for planning, but I've got people I'm holding up for sheds. Would you approve those or no?
Approve the permits?
Yeah. Even though it's getting changed?
Knowing it's
Says
getting
20.
changed, but exists, but
We'll
right
talk
now.
about it tomorrow.
Okay.
Just change it, just approve them and be done with it? Or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, my vote. I mean, again,
To make them wait till October,
I don't think you need to do that.
yeah, October's a long time to wait, you know.
and you might not be able to build a shed by then, because who knows the weather conditions. So, I mean, Kathy, I will volunteer my time if planning would ever need somebody from ZBA to sit
I
down.
think we have a meeting on this Thursday, right?
Yes, it's Thursday.
Unfortunately, I'm not available Thursday, sorry. I have a friend of mine, Odell Chiropractic, I don't know if anybody knows.
Yeah.
He, 40 years old, massive heart attack on Sunday.
wow.
Oh, no.
Yeah, yeah, so very sad. Was my chiropractor, but also a friend. Leaves six
Sorry,
children
that's
behind,
Oh.
ages 6 to 17. Yeah, I mean, as healthy as you could ever think. I mean, 40 years old, thin, had basically the widowmaker. It's very sad. So, rest in peace to Chris, and unfortunately, yeah, so I will be at a funeral. But the next one, communicate with me. I am happy to come, because I do think.
Why don't we just do a joint session?
You could do a joint session.
Great.
That's what I'm thinking. George.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Call for a
I
joint
just
session.
think planning and zoning needs to be a little more in tune with each other.
Yeah.
Because I think some of this, I think denying this gentleman tonight, I know why all four of you said no, because that's what the ordinance says, and I don't disagree with you. I just think, I think we angered our residents tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And it's okay to do that, but in this instance, I just think this was counterproductive. I think the village is going to get a lot of phone calls saying this is ridiculous. And let's face it, the village is not going to make these other folks tear this stuff down. They're not going to do that.
Right.
So these folks are going to come up here, and we're going to go through this entire process. It's just not going to happen. So I just don't think what happened tonight was fair to those folks. And the other gentleman, again, I don't agree with what he was stating, but he was taking it to a different level, and that's fine. But I just think we need to be a little more in tune here.
I think
Times
he
have
would-
changed in regards to what people want in their
He
properties.
was more or less making the point that there's more than just this family that
Yeah.
wants to have this kind of
And you know what? And-
feature on their property. And
Right.
that's what he was saying. If we agreed to have him with this exception, then
You
why
know,
is it an exception?
For example,
for
something
everybody else?
portable / open air, which is what he's basically proposed, could that work? I'm not saying we want to put a permanent structure on top of the water, even though some of these folks have that. But I'm saying what they had was just basically curtains.
Well, perhaps doing something similar to the soft-sided shed ordinance where it's 180 days.
Difficult, because the problem you have is you're going to have to probably employ somebody to take that down.
Yeah, anything you want nice enough to be by the water
Right.
is going to be, like, things that we want
Right.
by the waterfront, right?
Taking it down isn't
I'm not
necessarily good.
disagreeing with that.
No,
I'm
I
just
know.
saying that's
Taking it down
one-
isn't going to preserve it, because you're just going to beat it up, taking it down and beat it up, put it back together.
Here's my question on this, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're not interrupting. You're fine.
And this is where I was a little confused with the spirit of the ordinance and everything else. If we know the village is not going to go force other people enjoying the exact same thing on their property to take it down or pier.
Technically, the village should.
Technically, the village
right.
is supposed to.
Right.
Do
but
they go
we-
to that route? We
know
can't
they're not.
answer the question.
And we have to take a case-by-case basis, right? We know the village is not going to do that. So approving and stopping somebody from having something that people are enjoying and aren't going to be forced to take down, even though now they're going to be forced to take down by the village. Like, to me, that would have been the spirit of the ordinance, to grant it and allow it. But, that's just me. I also, just think it looks really nice, and people should be
It's
able to
It's a
enjoy their
lovely
waterfront.
structure.
It is.
I
Yeah,
have no
the
issue
structure.
with the look of the structure at
Right.
all. I think, and I agree, it should be changed. I have no objection to that. I just think we have to wait until it's
No,
changed.
literal interpretation, I understand completely, the no votes, I get it, but I think at the same time, for us to try to push the planning, a few of us do have to put forth the reasoning why we think
Yeah.
it needs to be changed, which is.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
I would like to
Yeah.
see it changed. I would.
It needs to be changed, and also, like you were saying, if it is basically, and I did read that, tied to 100 square feet, I think that needs to be maybe widened a little bit, because 10 by 10 is
Yeah.
very tight.
Yeah. Right.
I'm not saying go 250 square, I'm not saying let's get nuts, but 120, 140 square feet is probably not out of the ordinary of maybe what other cities have done, and maybe planning can look into that for other lakefront communities. What if,
I talked with Sally on that, on putting a standard picnic table under it than having dinner, right?
Right.
Or table and chairs under it and having dinner.
Okay.
And staying out of the rain. How big is that? It's certainly not 10 feet,
A little tight,
don't you think? Staying dry in 10 feet?
a little tight. I mean, I think, 12 by 12,
Push your chair back and not push it off.
push it off the lake,
Right.
fall in the lake.
We have almost the exact same type of gazebo in our backyard, and
So you're coming in front of us, is that what you're doing?
it is within ordinance.
Oh, you're 20 feet back?
But-
Sure, I'm getting a yardstick.
It was up before.
Doesn't matter.
Aaron, do you have anything to add? Still with us?
Hey, baby mama, you got anything going on?
I agree with a lot that's being said, just, it doesn't feel good to say no. I mean, I'm on the lakefront, I would love to have one of those down, sitting 5 feet from the water, but I'm reading the ordinance, and unless it's changed, that's how I read it.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I don't mind saying no, because that's what we're here for, is to basically look at our codes and try to preserve those as much as we possibly can. But I think this thing is just so egregiously being just blown off by so many residents, and I know there's more on the lake than just this. And there are fences, there are a variety of things. I will put on the record right now that I want the code enforcement officer to get out of that car, get on a boat. There are officers that can take them, there are DPW workers that can take them, and he needs to patrol around this lake and really clean, either we're gonna clean it up, or we're gonna start just approving everybody. Because you can't have a double standard, in my opinion, which I think we did tonight.
Right.
You're almost penalizing the people who follow the rules.
Yeah.
Correct.
No.
Right.
Or who didn't get away with it.
Or who didn't get away with it.
And the whole, I bought it when it was like this, or I'm grandfathered in, is irrelevant. If you're not up to current ordinance, what is the what's the village's stance on that? Because some of the stuff that he's put in these pictures, this stuff is not old. This is within the last 5 years. So I don't want to penalize any resident at all for what they currently have. But if we can't approve other folks, these folks should not be enjoying it as well. It's not fair. I'm a believer of fairness,
I
and
agree.
that's not fair.
Totally agree with that.
I agree.
Right.
So
It's got to be one or the other.
it's A or B.
Yeah.
It's
Either allow them or we don't.
correct. And in this case, there's other stuff in the lake too. Like I said, the one house, and what's the street when you go down the little arm of Penny Lake, and it's would be on the
Lakeview?
east side.
Oh, on Shankin?
Yeah, is it Shankin?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a guy that's got a house, a beautiful home that's been built in the last 5 years. I think, Tim, you probably know what I'm talking about. He's got a white fence going all the way down and coming all the way to the lake almost. How does the code enforcement officer not see that? Not drive by and go, hey, wait a minute, there's a little fence that's even coming up to the house from the road. Maybe I should get out of my car and go look at it.
Is that a Newport court?
No, it's on Shankin.
Oh, it's like off of,
It's where the guy who won the lottery has his house. It's the white, kind of the European-style house. That
Yeah.
is, it's one of those near
north
there.
of Wanda.
Yeah. And,
I just can't think of the name of the street.
and we are trying, we have a thing, we don't allow fences on the lake. Old homes getting torn down. Just have one 2 doors down from me. They tore down a 50, 60-year-old fence. All 4 corners. He was even on the lakeside. Well, why does this gentleman have a fence? Now, I know he's got a hill running down, but it's irrelevant. He can landscape that out so he can give himself a yard. Why is there a fence there? And it's been there for 4 summers, at least. So, I don't know who runs the code enforcement officer. I know we don't, but I think he needs to do a better job. And I'm not calling him out that he's doing a bad job. I just think he needs to, again, get on the lake and do more stuff. And if anyone disagrees, I'm more than happy to have that debate.
I'm behind you.
100% on
Agree.
that, too.
Yeah.
It's not fair that some people can have that kind of feature and other people can't.
Well, it's creating discourse in the village.
Most definitely.
Sure. I mean, you have some angry residents tonight, and I think they have a right to be angry. So, anyways, all right, so next meeting is going to be August 17th. Does anybody have a scheduling issue? You're good to the end of the year?
Yep. till the
Okay.
end of the year. As of now.
Could everybody email me the day of that you're coming? I don't want Ed to just have to come here for no reason. I mean, again, Ed's a good guy. I don't want him just to sit here and then have to turn around and go home. I'm sure his wife is happy about it, but I mean, we don't want him to come here for nothing. So if you're not going to be here for 7 o'clock, let me know, because if we have a full board, we don't need our alternate.
Okay.
Okay?
Fair enough.
I will call for an adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Or do we need to do a roll call? We didn't roll call? All in favor?
Aye.
See you guys in a month. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.